Hello, you are watching Leader Speakeasy with me, Luqman Hariz.
And me, Rozina Aziz.
My co-anchor is Rozina, co-founder and CEO of Metamorphosa, a former news, media and corporate woman who now mentors, coaches, trains and consults global leaders and entrepreneurs.
Thank you, Luqman. Today we will have a conversation on leading to future-proof the telecommunications industry. First, an introduction on our guest.
Imri Mokhtar had his early education at the Malay College Kuala Kangsar before graduating with first-class honours in engineering from the University College London. He also attended the Cambridge Judge and Harvard Business Schools. Imri started a 25-year career in telecommunication and strategy as a returning TM scholar, joining in 1996 before venturing out to McKinsey and Astro. His homecoming in 2005 led to him becoming Chief Operating Officer, overseeing the business operations of Unify, TM1 and TM Global. He briefly left in January 2020 and became COO of Celcom Axiata Berhad in May, before returning to TM as Managing Director and Group CEO in August 2020. As the telecommunications landscape in Malaysia undergoes rapid transformation to support the country's digital economy and developed nation's ambitions, Telekom Malaysia plays a major role in providing fibre infrastructure needed to support efforts by Digital Nasional Berhad to aggressively roll out the 5G ecosystem. Imri will need to refocus TM, address its legacy challenges and transform the organisation. He will take on a leading role in future-proofing Malaysia's telecommunications industry.
Imri, welcome to Leader Speakeasy with Luqman and Rozina. It's great to catch up with you. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. And how are you, Rozina? How are you, Luqman?
Very good.
We are fine, thank you. Imri, we'll kick off with your leadership mantra. Let's get started. Imri, you briefly left TM in January 2020 before being appointed as Managing Director and Group CEO effective 1st August the same year. So how did you use that time to learn and reflect, and what did you learn about yourself personally and also as a leader?
Right. That short time away, allowed me to rebase myself professionally and personally. Personally connecting with those dear to me, and professionally connecting with peers and leaders in the corporate circle. And I do believe, TM got a better version of me when I took on this role in August 2020. Yeah? The institutional knowledge that I had gained, from the 15 years in TM, plus a fresh outside-in perspective from the 6 months that I was doing.
So Imri, leadership, the program's about leadership. So leadership is pretty hard to define. There's different definitions. So let's talk about level 4 leaders first. They're charismatic, larger than life, and they've got a distinct goal of having others follow them. Then you have the level 5 leadership. Modest and humble, yet willful and fearless. They are inspired by a cause, and that's a core difference, right? They lead teams with professional single-mindedness to achieve high performance. So cause and performance. So 2 questions. Looking at what we discussed about definitions, you are viewed as introverted and low profile, very low profile. So how would you describe your leadership style? Which leader inspires you, and how would you like to be perceived as a leader?
All right. I have to say, Rozina, introverted, low profile, sympathetic, right? And I will take that same lens, right? I.e., how others have also described me. Whom reckons I am a bit more of a servant leader, right? Emphasizing on trust, on collaboration. And I do emphasize a great deal on team cohesiveness, building a cohesive team, cohesive coalition between the stakeholders and TM, between the board and the management and the rest of Warga TM, and TM and customers. What I see in this coalition of success, right? Leaders whom inspires me. Well, I have to say that many that I had the privilege to serve. I pick and improvise from the best of their strengths, right? From the financial acumen, their people centricity, customer and marketing orientation, their technical prowess, and And from that, I think it's about forming my own triangle of leadership priorities, which is in customers, on business, financial health, as well as the people, essentially the team and the organization.
All right, Imri, let's get on to the issues. So TM operates in an oligopolistic environment with legacy challenges, namely technologies such as your copper infrastructure and streaming service that can but has yet to be addressed, and a large legacy workforce facing technology and customer disruptions, fierce competition in fiber, and an industry shift from technology or infrastructure to a service-based competition. So to enable agile, lightning speed change, what sort of an organization do you need to build or rebuild? Starting with culture, what strengths can you draw upon, and what are the key gaps that you need to address?
Yeah, Luqman, I like that word that you mentioned, right? Agile. Since January 2021, at TM, we have defined about more than 40 transformation programs, and these are powered by 80 plus cross-functional teams made up of 1,200 of handpicked top performers as well as high potentials. And to up this execution tempo, at TM we have set a weekly cadence of progress review. It starts with the various program leaders, and it ends up with a progress review with me every Friday. And that point that you mentioned on culture, right? The culture change, as you can all appreciate, is a continuous journey that requires leadership will and stamina. And we have at TM recently launched a culture statement which shouts out, we own it, to take charge to make things happen. We grow, consistently challenging and reinventing ourselves to be better. We innovate to listen and learn from our customers, from competition, from other technology companies to eventually delight our customers. And finally, we care, right, to create that sustainable impact for our customers, our people, and Malaysia. And it requires this continuous role modeling from TM leaders, right, setting this tone of change from the top.
Well, I guess, they always say without a change in culture, it's very difficult to lead like a big change within an organization. Anyway, we're going to move on to the next segment to understand how you seek to transform a legacy organization and play a leading role to future-proof the telecommunications industry.
Imri, TM is the leading player in fiberizing Malaysia with HSBB. We enjoy the highest fiberization rates in the region, say for Singapore. We now have about 640,000 kilometers of fiber backhaul that can circle the globe about 16 times. So with the aggressive HSBB fiber targets culminating in 2.1 million subscriptions by 2025, what's the future of your infrastructure business? And what's your strategy in leading TM in terms of technology investments, upskilling your workforce, or bringing in new expertise?
As you mentioned, TM's infrastructure today spans connectivity in Malaysia, right? There's 640,000 kilometers of fiber, but also 300,000 kilometers of subsea cable that connects Malaysia to the world, right? We can't be an island as a country. We shall continue at TM to invest to power a much more digital Malaysia, and also invest in other new technologies in cloud, data centers, cybersecurity, IoT, and so forth. Right? You're right. It's not just about investing in technology, but it's also in this technology, this digital human capital. Right. So upskilling is to us at TM. It's not just about upskilling from a technical domain, which I hope I'll cover a bit more later, but also in terms of this new leadership acumen, right? That I believe will be the most sustainable element to shape in that culture that we spoke earlier. Today at TM, together with the IMD Business School, we have designed and we are running a customized leadership program for our top 100 leaders. And for the following top 300 leaders, we are running a leadership program together with our MMU, or Multimedia University Business School.
I think, 5G is hot topic these days. Digital Nasional Berhad is the single special purpose vehicle to roll out 5G to avoid duplication, optimize costs and resources. So under Jendela, 6.43 million out of 7.5 million targeted premises already have access to fibre broadband in phase 1, which I believe will be completed in end 2020 if everything goes to plan. So 6 million of that, you have said, will be enabled by TM. Now, beyond providing fibre infrastructure for 5G, what 5G ambitions do you have for TM? And do you see TM taking a role or a stake in DNB itself, or perhaps, given the current conversations, leading a second DNB down the road?
In addition to being a fiber partner for, even for 4G, right, and the 5G network build, TM will also be a customer to DNB's 5G network, right? Based on commercial terms that we are currently discussing with DNB, right, to offer our customers a complete hyper-connectivity experience, if you like, of both fiber when customers are at home or at the office, to when they are out of home or office on the move with 5G. Yeah? And well, to me, what's more important is just beyond this hyper-connectivity, right? It's the solutions, right? The digital solutions and the benefits on top of this super fast connectivity of whether it's fiber or whether it's 5G. Right? And at TM, we are focusing or investing on 5 verticals for us: public sector, including education, oil and gas, banking, manufacturing, and healthcare. And it's really about co-creating together, right? This digital solutions that would benefit and unlock the true value of this hyper-connectivity, as I mentioned, regardless whether it's fiber or even 5G, right? It requires solutions to be designed from the lens of the end users, and that is where technology partners like TM will work with various companies, with the various ministries in the government to create that meaningful and impactful benefits to the end customers, the users. And, something I'd just like to share as well, but today other telcos are catching up with TM, to be the converged solutions provider. And for us at TM, it's about us staying ahead, about us evolving next, to the next phase for it to be at TM, to be a human-centered technology company.
Right, Imri, there's 5G and there's also fiber broadband. So fiber broadband is dominated by TM, Time and Maxis. Your partnership with Astro intensifies competition among ISPs, fiber broadband players. The expected price competition will likely benefit consumers but put pressure on your Unify business. As a leader, what does it take for you to future-proof TM in this highly competitive future landscape?
Yeah, I'll build on your point there, Luqman, on that highly competitive technology landscape, right? To us, we see it, this landscape to have 3 layers. Yeah, the first layer is, of course, the connectivity, right? Whether it's fiber, whether it's 5G. And it's the layer above that enables, right, the digital solutions that powers a much more digital society, a much more digital business, digital government, and also an industry. And we see it as even a third layer, right, of that is of a layer of customer experience, yeah? And let me just double click a bit on that, right? With regards to move from this infra connectivity base to a much more service level landscape, right? Today is the age of both collaboration and competition, right? If you can coin a new word, you can call it co-opetition, if you like, right? Where, for example, TM, we collaborate on the infra, for example, with global tech giants from US and China, right, on the infra base. But we also then compete at the B2B solutions front. Yeah, and we've seen that in the fiber broadband, right, where other telcos as well, leverages the infra TM to provide the services, fixed broadband services to your end users. And then I see that similarly happening with this with DNB's 5G. Yeah? But to that third layer that I mentioned just now, right? Imagine this: all things being equal, the product, the solutions, or the pricing of that, yeah, the sustainable competitive edge, yeah, will be that customer experience, right? The customers will remember how you make them feel. Yeah? So for TM, it's really about serving them with great empathy, and this circles back to what I mentioned earlier, TM's next change as a human-centered technology company.
Right. Imri will go for a short break. We'll pick it up after this. Leader Speakeasy will be back with Imri Mokhtar, Managing Director and Group CEO of TM.
Ayuh keluarga Malaysia, kita bulatkan tekad dan bersatu hati untuk terus memelihara serta mempertahankan kedaulatan negara. Sebagai keluarga Malaysia yang besar, kita harus bertoleransi dalam semua perkara. Hormat menghormati serta mengekalkan perpaduan rakyat yang berbilang kaum, agama dan bangsa serta integrasi nasional silang budaya adalah tunjang kekuatan kita sebagai sebuah negara bangsa yang berjaya. Umpama selembar benang dikait, ditenun dan dijalin, akhirnya menjadi kain yang sempurna indah.
Ayo kita zahirkan impian bersama, menjunjung semangat yang bernama keluarga Malaysia.
Amanah di tangan kita. Adat, budaya dan semangat menjadi kesinambungan perpaduan tanah air yang tercinta. Berteraskan adab yang terpahat di jiwa dan raga. Marilah bersama kita membina negara Malaysia. Tetapi tiada.
Welcome back to Leader Speakeasy with Luqman and Rozina in conversation with Imri Mokhtar, the Managing Director and Group CEO of Telekom Malaysia.
So Imri, with the creation of the 5G ecosystem, there is a shift from infrastructure to service-based competition across the industry. So we want to understand the implications on TM in terms of service innovations, premium service levels, new market segments and value capture. So how do you, Imri, plan on carving a strong competitive space? I know you're spending, effort on talent and creating a new niche for TM. And what's your strategy? What would your strategy be to create new service providers, get into partnerships that we talked about earlier, or acquire businesses?
All right. Well, a bit of a backdrop, right? The TM has invested thus far 22.4 billion ringgit in the past 10 years in connectivity infra, mostly on fiber for customers for our country. Right? And thanks to the trust of our customers, our business has grown in 2021. We are committed to invest over the next 3 years in our next growth and focus areas of that digital solution. So that is a new space for TM beyond the connectivity domain that we are in today, and then also secondly on delivering great customer experience. And investment in digital solutions will require strengthening our technology, and you mentioned it just now, the human capital capabilities, right, in areas of cloud, cybersecurity, IoT, analytics. And it's not just about the digital technology, but also the digital capabilities and mindset, right, for this. And at TM, we have a three-pronged approach to build such digital talent. Firstly, it's technical upskilling for current workforce. Secondly, we'll need fresh injection of external hires as well from global technology companies. And third, to rapidly scale up this digital talent, we are also open and continuously exploring JVs or even acquisitions of niche technology companies.
Right. So, Imri, let's go on to Jendela, which is a huge part in TM's endeavor. Jendela is a blueprint collectively developed by the industry. Collaborations and partnerships can be seen in the 5G and mobile space. And the recent signing between TM and Astro. We have a relatively small market size. Our ability to attract investments for businesses such as big data centers, cloud, and future 5G-enabled services may be limited. Furthermore, Malaysia is not at the forefront of many such businesses. So how can you as a leader prepare TM for the industry of the future to be best in class, learning and partnering with the world's best?
Yeah, and it really boils down to a shift in the organizational DNA. From a telco to what I mentioned earlier, the human-centered technology company, and circles back to that culture mantra that I've shared earlier on, one of which is we innovate, right, to continuously listen and learn, to really deliver the best value proposition to our customers, to grow, to consistently challenge ourselves and reinvent ourselves to be better, and ultimately to deliver that sustainable impact for our customers and powering up a much more digital Malaysia.
Malaysia has high digital aspirations, and TM has, you have a dual responsibility of being profitable, delivering shareholder value, but at the same time, you have to play a role in nation building. So, you are expected to enable connectivity to even the more remote parts of Malaysia. So that's the question of economics. It may not be quite there, especially initially, but there could be real opportunities. So when we talk about opportunities, in bridging the urban-rural digital gap and for long-term business viability, since you have to connect the less urban areas anyway, what are some of the opportunities for you to work with the government to provide critical services?
Well, TM has been a technology partner for our government. The 11.3 billion ringgit co-investment of HSBB, the high-speed broadband, in 2008 to kickstart fiber broadband in Malaysia. So imagine going through the pandemic without your Unify or the other fiber broadband that is brought to you by other telcos over our fiber network. On the urban-rural digital divide, TM, we co-invest, we collaborate with our government and its agencies to provide connectivity. For example, fiberizing Pulau Tioman, Perhentian and Pangkor, to boost the tourism ecosystem there, as well as the livelihood of the population in these islands. And we've provided more than 400 Pusat internet nationwide for the use in the rural communities. And as I mentioned earlier, it needs to go beyond connectivity. It's the solution, it's the impact and the benefit of it. And working with various government agencies on the digitization, the programs, in terms of learning, to, for example, a crepe maker, right, in Kuala Lumpur to just put their wares or their products, right, on Shopee, right, had improved their earnings, from 300 to even 3,000. And I think that on that trajectory would lift them out from the B40 brackets. And speaking of this social impact, TM also, we've contributed to Malaysia's society in terms of human capital development. We've invested close to 600 million in setting up MMU, Multimedia University, and we produced more than 64,000 graduates. Our foundation as well, Yayasan TM, we've given out 570 million ringgit of scholarships to about 60,000 recipients. And more recently, with the pandemic that we had all faced, we've contributed close to 20 million various causes.
Imri, given the rapidly changing industry landscape and SDG ambitions, you need to think and act differently from past TM GCEOs. So how do you plan to change the negative perceptions towards TM to become an innovative organization focused on competitiveness of services and also customer centricity?
Yeah. Well, in short, it's about talking the talk, about sharing the ambition, the commitment of TM, like what we're doing here today, Luqman. And over the coming months and the coming years, it's about walking the walk, right? About leading Warga TM, but delivering it to power up much more digital Malaysia.
All right, well said. Imri, we will now move on to the fun, quick fire questions. You only have 20 seconds to answer each question.
20 seconds. So, Imri, you know, you were a head boy in MCKK, and now you're GCEO of a 10.5 billion company. So this is, you know, this part is nothing to do with professional, yeah? So outside of work, what was the most bad boy or reckless thing you've ever done?
Well, you know, as a head boy, I shouldn't be doing something that I did, but, you know, I do smoke. Right, so that's the big no-no, right, for a head boy.
In school?
Occasionally.
Okay. If that's the most reckless thing, then you're good. If smoking is the most reckless thing, you're good. All right, so next question, 20 seconds. Imri, Rosie and I will never walk alone. As a die-hard Liverpool fan yourself since 1980, what's your favourite thing about Manchester United that bugs you to no end?
What's my favourite thing?
That irritates.
Well,
There's
nothing that I favor with regards to that team that I would not even mention the name.
Not one thing, come on, not one thing.
Well, it's one thing that I like is that, you know, be able to be looking, you know, from where we are standing in the league table now, downwards. That's a favorite thing, if anything.
All right, Rosie?
So, Imri, they say it's lonely at the top. Do you feel, does that statement resonate with you, and why?
Well, you know, occasionally it does, but, you know, back to what I chatted earlier on, you know, I'm more of a person that likes to connect, to collaborate. So you know, I do huddle up with the rest of the management quite frequently. And of course, there's the fallback of my dear family, right? My mom, right? My wife and the kids. That's always there for me to support me. So it's not as lonely as I thought it would be.
All right, Imri, we've enjoyed hosting you, but we just have enough time for one quick closing question. Briefly, do you have any parting words?
Yeah, at TM, we are committed to lead and power much more digital Malaysia, right? Delivering that connectivity, solutions excellence, and of course, that impactful customer experience for Malaysians to work, play, and for their leisure, right? TM has served you and our country for the past 75 years. And we certainly look forward to serve Malaysia for another 75 years and more.
So thank you to Imri Mokhtar, Managing Director and Group CEO of Telecom Malaysia, for sharing his leadership mantra, strategies to transform TM, and leading a major role in future-proofing Malaysia's telecommunications industry.
Be sure to join us on Leader Speakeasy with Luqman and Rozina for conversations on leadership as the country and the world strive to bounce back from the pandemic. I'm Luqman Hariz.
And I'm Rozina, wishing you the very best in your career, business and leadership journey. Stay safe, stay healthy, stay resilient.